So guys, it is time to do a 4K gaming test on the RTX 2060. So I've got my main rig out here connected to the TV. So let's take a look at the specifications. I guess you guys already know, but for those of you who don't know, this computer is running a Core i7-3770 non-K CPU and it's not overclocked. 16 gigabytes of RAM. The resolution is set to 4096 x 2160 at 60 Hz. This is the native resolution of this TV. And we are running the latest Nvidia driver and of course the RTX 2060. And this display also supports HDR. So some of the games actually support HDR, so you can make use of this HDR capability of this display. And I've overclocked the GPU a little bit, just 50 MHz on the core clock, and maybe I'll put 10 MHz on the memory clock, and we'll see how the games perform. You guys already know that the RTX 2060 is not a 4K gaming card, but we'll tweak the settings and we'll see how the games work. I can use GeForce Experience to optimize the game, but yeah, where's the fun in that? I kind of like to manually tweak these settings. And if you've seen my previous videos where I was testing games out at 1080p resolution, click over here if you want to see that video. But if you guys remember, we were bottlenecked by the CPU most of the times. But yeah, let's see how this one works out. Now guys, other reviewers usually put out some sort of a performance graph, but I won't do that. I'll actually play the game and you guys will be able to see the FPS on the screen over here. So this is the current FPS, this is your minimum FPS, average, and then you've got the maximum FPS over here. Then on the top we've got the GPU temperature, GPU usage, and the GPU clock. Then we've got the GPU memory. This graphics card has 6 gigabytes of video RAM. Then we've got CPU temperature, CPU usage, and the CPU clock. Then we've got the system RAM usage. Now typically what happens when there's a CPU bottleneck is that the CPU usage is at 99% and the GPU usage drops. Meanwhile, the FPS will also drop. But right now you can see the GPU usage is at 99%, CPU is at 60, so there is no bottleneck in this game right now. Now before we start this test, one thing I want to clear out is that I record videos in 4K. And unfortunately, this camera does not record videos in 4K at 60 FPS. This one is only capable of recording videos at 24.9 FPS in 4K. So whatever you see on YouTube has been recorded in 24.9. That's the limitation of the camera. But you guys will be able to see the actual frame rate of the game over here. So this is Metro Exodus. Let's go to video settings and take a look. So we are running the game at 4096 x 2160 extreme quality. Obviously VSync off, motion blur low, DirectX 12, and Nvidia RTX is off. There's no point of turning RTX on the 2060 this game at 4K resolution. So yeah, ray tracing will be turned off. Here works is off, advanced physics is off, then texture filtering 4x and shading rate 0.4x. And no HDR on this game. If you turn on HDR, everything gets washed out, so I'm just gonna keep HDR turned off. If you want more FPS, you can drop the settings and like play it on medium or maybe low. And I think we'll be able to get 70 FPS at medium settings, but this is the kind of settings I like, so I'll keep it on this.
You're alive! Impressive after the horrors Duke told us about. Let's go. Dad's talking to Katya right now. They are so nice. Both Katya and her daughter. And Katya's medical training will come in handy.
Great job saving them, Martin. Katya here has provided us with vital information.
How do you like your backpack? Is it comfortable? Can you operate stealthily with it? I have a present for you here. ATR rifle. Ring any bells? It's pneumatic, but it still packs a wallop.
Man, look at that view. That is just stunning. Even with RTX turned off, this game looks fantastic. And I can only imagine how this game would look on a 2080 Ti. Everything maxed out in 4K. Okay, turn on ray tracing just to get an idea of how the game works and take a look at that frame rate. You're not gonna enjoy this game at 33 FPS. you need at least 60 FPS on a big display like this to enjoy it. But it does not go below high, so it's either off, high and ultra. So high is okay, rest of the settings are the same. You're still running in 4K. So let's go back, escape. But I gotta say though, this game looks stunning, especially when you turn on ray tracing.
Listen, I had a talk with the Ark. All thanks to Dota, he got the decoder working. Ark, come in. Come in, Ark. Over. This is Ark. Identify yourself. Over.
Man, look at that scenery. That is beautiful and stunning in front of the train. But anyway, I just want to say that if you want to play this game in 4K on a 2060, turn RTX off. But yeah, I did not even bother to run the benchmark. You're getting okay-ish frame rate, but as soon as you get to a more complex scene, for example, if I go inside the train, the frame rate kind of tanks. Just trying to manage it with one hand, but yeah, see that the frame rate is going down. So let me just enter the train. Yeah, look at that. So yeah, turn off RTX if you want to enjoy this game in 4K. Okay, so I've got Shadow of the Tomb Raider running, and the settings are sort of like low to medium, and this is with RTX turned off. Alright, so let's do a playthrough and see how the frame rates are like. But first, I would like to show you my settings. So skip through this. So let's go to options. Let's go to display and graphics. So these are my graphic settings, and as you can see, ray trace shadow quality is off. I'll show you why I have turned it off once we get out of this part. But yeah, display, we are running the game in 4096 into 2160, which is 4K. Then anti-aliasing is set to SMAA, and guys, as you can see, HDR is also turned on. So let's go ahead and play the game. You can see I'm controlling the game with my Xbox 360 controller. Alright, so let's go. Okay, look at that CPU usage, a little bit of CPU bottleneck. But we are still getting a very decent frame rate. I mean, 40, 41 at 4K. Now guys, as far as lighting goes, this is quite a complex scene. So if I turn on ray tracing over here, you'll see that the frame rate will just tank. So turn on ray tracing to medium. You're getting 42 FPS. Look at that, the frame rate dips down to like 35. Not good, right? But it does sort of improve the visual quality. So we have nice ray traced shadows. So yeah, I'm just gonna turn ray tracing off. It's not worth it. Doesn't matter if there's a little bit of drop in the visual quality. I'm totally fine with ray tracing turned off. So let's reset the benchmarks. Alright, so let's go. And if you guys remember, when we were playing this game at 1080p, at this particular scene the game was bottlenecked by the CPU. The CPU is not an issue over here. But I'm quite impressed that the RTX 2060 is keeping up nicely even at 4K resolution. Okay guys, so this is as far as I'll go. Looks like we've got an average of 43 FPS, and we've got a maximum FPS of 56, and 35 FPS was minimum. So with these low to medium settings on the RTX 2060, the game is totally playable in like 4K resolution, so I'm quite impressed by the RTX 2060's 4K capabilities, even though this is not a 4K gaming card. Alright guys, we are playing Rise of the Tomb Raider, and this is almost maxed out, so let's go to options. First, display 4096 into 2160, and yes, anti-aliasing is turned on. You can turn it off if you want better performance, but I'll keep it on FXAA. And then graphics, so these are like very high, so texture quality is maxed out, anisotropic filter is set to trilinear, so that's the lowest, and other settings are set to high, and yeah, high is fine. So it's almost maxed out, and yeah, it seems to work okay. It's playable. If you want better FPS, you might wanna turn some settings down, but I'm totally fine with this. So yeah, so let's see how the game performs. So far it's okay. And guys, one more thing I've noticed is that we are almost maxed out on our video memory. So you can see we are using 5.7 gigabytes and this card has 6 gigabytes of video memory. So yeah, it's almost maxing out. But I would say 46 FPS and 43 average, the game is playable. I mean, if you want 60 FPS, you can drop more settings, but yeah, I'm totally fine with this.
We're close to something, Jeremy. I can feel it. Just this last stretch to the top.
Alright, let's see what's up there.
Okay guys, so we are at the next stage. Let's play through the first part and see what kind of FPS we get. But I gotta say though, this game looks stunning and almost maxed out, plus running in 4K. And just looking at this on such a big screen, yeah, it's totally awesome. Okay guys, this was Rise of the Tomb Raider, and we are getting a fairly decent frame rate. The game is completely playable, and look at that, this is running in 4K and it's almost maxed out. Some of the settings aren't maxed out, but yeah. So look at this, we've got maximum FPS of 57, 41 was average, and 23 FPS was our lowest. But we are averaging around 41, and right now we're getting 43 FPS. So I would say this game is playable in 4K with the RTX 2060. So I'm just watching a game of Dota 2 just to get an idea on how this works, and it seems to work okay. And we are getting about 100 plus FPS, even touches 120. Yeah, it's okay. Even when there's a lot of action, the frame rates are quite consistent. Alright, so let me show you my video settings, then I'll start the benchmark. So video, we are running in 4K 4096 into 2160, and all of these settings are maxed out, including shadow quality. And we are getting 120 plus FPS, so that's great. So now I'm gonna start the benchmark. Oops. So I'm just gonna let this run for about 10 minutes, and then I'll be right back and see how the frame rates are like. Look at this, there's a lot of action in this scene. And look at that, there is no CPU bottleneck right now. So at 4K with the Core i7-3770 and the RTX 2060, looks like Dota 2 is working fine. So we've got a maximum frame rate of 146, 118 was our average, and 72 was the lowest. And no, there is no CPU bottleneck in this game right now. On the RTX 2070 there was a CPU bottleneck. So here we are in Apex Legends. This is the training mode. I'm just tweaking the settings before I actually play the game. But look at that, 53 FPS, and look at, let's go to settings and video. Again, we are running the game in 4K, VSync off, and pretty much everything is maxed out over here except texture filtering and the texture streaming budget. So we've got 6 gigabytes of video memory on this card, so we're gonna keep it at very high, which is recommended for 6 gigabytes of video memory. So what I'll do now is just play the game. Let's go ahead and find a match and actually play the game, see how it works. and if we do not get good FPS while we are playing the game, I'm gonna drop the settings. Well, if the question is, can it run Crysis? Well, yes it can. And in 4K we are getting about 41 FPS, and the setting is set to Ultra. So options, let's go to graphics. So 4096 and 2160 full screen, VSync off, and system spec is set to Ultra. Now it does kind of struggle to run this game in Ultra settings, so with advanced graphics you see everything is set to Ultra. So let's just play through this and see how it goes. So guys, this is Crysis 2 Maximum Edition running in 4K at Ultra settings. Now it does kind of slow down a little bit, so look at that. We've got a minimum frame rate of 28, but for the most time it stays around 40. So we've got a 39 FPS average and 53 was our maximum, and it is completely playable even at these sort of frame rates. So yeah, can the RTX 2060 run Crysis? Yes, it can. Alright, so this is Battlefield 5 running in 4K high settings, and this game is quite infamous for bottlenecking the i7-3770 because this CPU does not even meet the recommended spec for this game. Okay, so video settings, again you can see we are running in 4K. These are my basic settings, and let's go to advanced. We are using DirectX 12, but DXR is off, so no ray tracing. I might turn on ray tracing later on, but I don't think we're gonna get good frame rate, so let's leave it turned off. And look at this, the quality settings are set to high, so not using ultra settings, high is more than enough. Alright, so I will be using the Xbox 360 controller. Let's begin the benchmark and let's go. And I tried running Firestorm, it just times out while the game is loading, so Firestorm is not gonna run on the 3770. It's just too slow, it takes too much time to load the game, and the game just times out on the loading screen. But look at that CPU usage, the processor is almost maxing out. So guys, this is Battlefield 5 running in 4K at high settings, and we got a maximum frame rate of 52, 34 average, 27 was our lowest FPS. So the frame rates are averaging around 32 to 36 FPS. It rarely goes above 40 FPS, but yeah. Now the thing is, I can drop the settings, but it won't result in a higher FPS because we sort of run into a CPU bottleneck. Battlefield 5 is quite CPU intensive, and even if you drop the settings a little bit, with the Core i7-3770 it's not gonna work out. And yes, I did try running Firestorm, it did not work. The game just times out when it's loading. So guys, this is Need for Speed Most Wanted, and I think this is one of the most stunning looking games, even though this was released quite a while back. And we are getting about 60 FPS. Now this game is locked on to 60 FPS, so there's really nothing I can do. there is no option to turn off VSync on this game, but look at that, we've got a minimum FPS of 54, and game is indeed running in 4K. So let me just show you my settings, and let's go to graphics, 4096 into 2160, high resolution textures, motion blur, shadow level, so everything is set to high except super sampling. So no anti-aliasing on here. If you turn on anti-aliasing, the game starts lagging, but yeah, so yeah, this game works fine. I think this is one of the nicest games if you just want to have fun, drive around the city and play with the cops. So guys, this is Doom running in Vulkan and obviously in 4K, and the game is maxed out including anti-aliasing. So first let me show you my video settings. Let's go to settings, video. You can see it's running in 4K, anti-aliasing is maxed out. So let's go back, let's go to advanced, and you guys can also see here that everything is maxed out. So let's play the game and see how the frame rates are like. Let's begin the benchmark. Oh, there are a lot of demons here. Oh, that's a lot of blood. Man, I don't know about YouTube. They might demonetize my channel for this. YouTube is too sensitive these days. So are you guys watching this? There is no bottleneck whatsoever by the CPU. So actually Doom works quite well on the 2060 at 4K. I'm really enjoying this game, and everything is nice, fast, fluid, there's no lags at all. So I think let's end the benchmark here. So we've got a maximum FPS of 119, 74 average, and 53 was our lowest. So yeah, quite happy with the result in Doom. Alright guys, that brings us to the end of this video. Hope you guys have enjoyed, and most importantly, I hope this video gives you an idea on how the RTX 2060 and the Core i7-3770 perform when you run games at 4K resolution. So guys, thank you for watching, and do stay tuned for more videos like these, and I will see you guys next time.